What's up, fish tank people? Dawson's Fish Tanks bringing it to you. Talking about a 900-gallon aquarium. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. So in last week's video, we showed you the hardscape, the rocks, and what went into that. The week before that, we showed you the lights, the substrate, and the filtration. In this week's video, we're gonna tie it all together for you. We're gonna talk about the goals the Newport has with this aquarium. We're gonna talk about my goals with this tank. We're gonna talk about the plants. We're gonna talk about what plants I went with and why I went with them. We're also gonna talk about the preparation that went into preparing those plants for this tank. I'm also gonna show you a mistake I made with the driftwood and a behind the scenes look at the Newport Aquarium's warehouse where we prep these plants. A fish tank hoarder's dream. First, I want to talk about some of the elements of this aquarium that existed before I got my grimy wet hands on it that I wanted to use, and two of the elements in the aquarium that I don't want to use at all. Let's start with the things I don't want to use. First things first, you can see this tank at the before footage of how it is covered with algae. We want no more algae in this aquarium. You can see me in here getting inside of this aquarium after they have done a 4-day blackout. I think that's super important. If you're restarting an aquarium, now is the time to make sure that all of your equipment is clean, all your algae is gone. Start with a clean canvas. So I didn't want to bring any of the algae in. Now on to the thing that I potentially wanted to keep. This is a Mekong tank. In my research of this aquarium and the plants that grow in the Mekong area, I found out that our friend Crypspiralis grows generally around this area. Those of you not familiar with Crypspiralis, it is a super hardy, probably one of the most hardy, dare I say, bulletproof crypts around. It's one of the few that doesn't melt nearly as easily as some of the other crypts. When in doubt, whenever you're reestablishing an aquarium, look at what you already have. Whether it's filters, lights, plants, fish, whatever, what can you reuse as an aquarium? Hey, I'm gonna reuse some of the Crypspiralis. And make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification button. I have 4 more aquariums I'm doing with the Newport Aquarium. This is just a start. Now let's talk about something I don't want to use. I wanted to make sure there was absolutely no algae from the previous setup here in this new setup. They did a full 4-day blackout here, and you can see while I'm down in this tank how it is all taped up. This was not an easy sell for me, however, because this is a public aquarium. They have lots of people going through there, and having brown cardboard over the front of an aquarium is not exactly the look they're going for in their exhibits. My goal, however, was a clean, fresh start. Let's talk about the goals here. Now I want to talk about the goals of this aquarium and how we were going to achieve those goals, and then some of the behind the scenes stuff with the Newport Aquarium that made this possible. My goal is to make sure they have a well-planted aquarium. I spoke to them about this and they said that they had a 7-foot in diameter, about 3-foot tall black tub that they could hang metal halides over. This is a huge and important step here. I gotta give a shout out to my man Dan Hagley, because basically he was like, oh, you need a 700-gallon aquarium with some halides over it? Done. When I showed up, he was hanging the lights. This is good for 2 reasons. One, while we were putting these plants in, we were able to shake off anything that might have died in shipping, what have you. You don't want any of that in your tank, and that's a good tip for you all. Whenever you purchase new plants, make sure you remove any sort of dead stuff, because it's just gonna foul up your water. The second thing is we had an easy behind-the-scenes spot to both try out these new lights and make sure the plants were rocking and rolling underneath the same lights they would be in the aquarium, albeit most of them would be much deeper. But regardless, throwing them in a 700-gallon aquarium together, both seeing how they already looked and then pulling them out later was a great thing. These plants had already been adjusted. They're already used to being underneath the metal halide. I'm just gonna slowly reduce that light on them, but they're already rolling, already ready to go. You ever heard the Ludacris song, "Too many rookies, not enough pros"? These guys are pros. Look down. That's like how you do it. It's a set. I was like, hey, yeah, we got a 700-gallon tub. We're just gonna throw all your plants in. So that's one 700-gallon hygrophila setup. That's a Reef Bright 400 watt metal halide that I love. It's another 400 watt metal halide. That's 2 of 3 that are going on this tank. Super jacked. Now let's talk about the plants, okay? Nothing fancy is gonna go on here because of one major thing, and that is this. I am not ultimately in control of the husbandry and the care of this aquarium. I am setting up this aquarium and I am leaving it in the great hands of others. Nevertheless, I'm not gonna get fancy here. I'm not gonna set them up for failure, okay? This is my first time working this deep in this large of a tank, so we're gonna go with easy plants. I wanted to bring them a number of plants from one different genus, and I wanted to bring it out something like this. I wanted to start light at the bottom, work a little bit darker, then back to lighter, then I wanted to put the Gangster High Grow Red on top. Now, there is a reason for this as well. The bottom plants on this aquarium could have been a number of things, but I want to unpack why I picked these specific plants for the very bottom. What's at the bottom of a 4-foot tank? The least amount of light. What's at the bottom of a 4-foot tank? Really good substrate. So I had to pick easy to keep plants, knowing that just because there's 400 watt metal halides above doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get all that light. Conversely, a plant that I plant 2 feet above that is going to get exponentially more light. So I could use fancier plants at the top, less fancy plants at the bottom. The plants that I wanted to use on the bottom are as follows. The fastest growing, hardiest plant I know, Hygrophila deformis, also known as water wisteria. This is a big, bushy, nitrogen-absorbing plant. It's fantastic. Another plant, which is not quite as hard to keep, but does pretty well for us, is Hygrophila compact. Hygro compacts, if you will. I believe that both of these two plants would work. My one concern is this. Will the Hygrophila deformis with the wisteria outgrow and outcompete and shade out the Hygro compact? This will remain to be seen later. Another plant that I wanted to use and reuse from the old setup of the Mekong was our friend Crypspiralis. Unfortunately, almost all of the Crypspiralis still had algae all over it, and we made a game time decision not to use any of it in the resetting up of this tank. They only had a little bit of it saved. I thought about grabbing some of it from this amazing rainbow fish tank that they have set up there, but then I decided, let's put a little bit of constraints on this. I'm gonna try to pull this aquarium off with all plants from the same genus. All of these plants we use in this aquarium are cousins, folks. I figured once the hardscape was done on this tank that planting would be easy. Not so much. You see, while I think I nailed the driftwood with this, my placement of the driftwood made it just a tad bit difficult to get in and out of this aquarium. I like the look, but I had to pay the price when I was getting in and out of it. A quick note on the driftwood. With good looking driftwood, generally speaking, it takes a minute for it to actually sink. It's wood, wood floats, you have to sink it. Typically, I take most of my awesome pieces of driftwood and I float them and then sink them in my pond. I did not do this with this aquarium, so it's a major concern of mine because I'm using some pretty sweet pieces hand-selected by the Planet Tank Guru, my man Tom Barr. Nevertheless, I forgot to soak these, so I am concerned about them coming up later, making a sweet scape and then watching it float up in my face. So while it was more difficult to move around, I had two things working for me that I hadn't expected. One of my initial concerns with setting up this aquarium was how this was going to look while I was doing it from the inside. Am I gonna be able to see what I'm doing while I'm inside this tank, or am I gonna have to get in and out of it, in and out of it, in and out of it? This tank was so big, surprisingly to me, that I was actually able to see pretty well what was going on the whole time. And when I hopped out of the tank, it looked the way I wanted it to look when I was right in front of it. The second thing I was able to do, and this is a huge one, folks, I was able to get a ridiculous amount of help from the folks at the Newport Aquarium handing me down plants as I need them. Our plants come rubber bound with foam around them. They were able to take all of those off. I would hold up a plant and say, I need about 15 of these, and they were able to hand me exactly the species I needed when I needed. So I was able to get into something that I really want to talk about. If I had to get out of this aquarium every time I needed more plants, it would have taken me twice as long. More importantly, it would have messed up something that I really got into here. That something is what I like to call the flow. It's a flow, folks. Ever get into something that you're having so much fun doing on your own that you completely lose track of time? That's the flow. That's what I'm talking about here. Anyone who's ever done any sort of creative work knows when you're in the flow, stay in the flow. Keep doing it. Keep distractions at an absolute minimum and stay in the flow. And folks, I gotta tell you, I believe my flow was pretty on point with this. I didn't have to hold any cameras. People were handing me plants, and your boy Dusty was getting after it in this tank. And it was a riot. Being in the flow with this aquarium was absolutely awesome for me. I had a general plan of what I was trying to do. We aborted on the Crypspiralis and we went all in on the Hygrophilas. All of the plants in this aquarium were the genus Hygrophila. But once I had the hardscape established, which was slightly different than the plan, I was able to kind of see where the plants were going to go to fit the flow of this aquarium. You can see how I started with the low compacts along the bottom. I was able to bring those to the front to kind of really accent the foreground. I also brought in more of the actual rocks we use broken up to sprinkle in more to soften the hardscape, if you will, around the foreground. And I was able to build up this nice red kind of streak you can see here with the Hygrophila cordata red.